Things not to say to autistic people. Here we go. Well, hello people, and in this video it's all about things not to say to autistic people, because some of these things are fueled by ignorance, misunderstanding, or even fuels misconceptions about autism. And the first thing not to say to autistic people is autistic people are like puzzle pieces. They're just really confusing and they just seem to be missing something. No. This statement is just icky to me. I just want to go in the shower right now and just wash off the ickiness, because it's so icky to me. Because autistic people, we are not puzzles. We are not things to solve, and we are not things to put into neat little boxes. Just like you, we are just people. We have a different approach to things sometimes. We handle things in our own way. We might react in a way that is not expected of someone else of our age and our ability. And I think some of the reasoning why people might say this or have this idea that we're just like missing bits is because of the way society is. And society wants everything to be normal and prim and proper, and everyone following the same line on the same time scale. But the thing is, we are people who might need extra help, or need a helping hand to get where we want to be. Now personally, for me as an autistic person, I feel society is a little bit backward in this area. I feel that society just pressures people into going down a certain path, and we're all expected to keep going at the same pace all the time, which is just not a thing that some autistic people can do. And this is of course the same for people who aren't on the spectrum. We're all people at the end of the day, but we all have our different ways of coping, like I say, and we all have our own pressures and ways of dealing with those pressures. And yes, sometimes we might not be the best at social communication, or we have sensory issues which make certain situations difficult to go into, or we just melt down because heck, shops are just bright as heck and there's just busy amounts of busyness in places. I think if society was more accepting of difference and how people might have a different way of thinking and a different way of approaching things, then I think we would all be a lot more accepting of each other, and I think that's a societal problem, not something that is wrong with autistic people. Now, the next thing not to say to autistic people is, can you just stop with the rocking? Can you just stop with the hand flapping? It's just embarrassing. Now, this is something I've personally seen far too much of online in particular. Basically people saying that, they're sick of their child rocking backwards and forwards and things like that. Basically, your child rocking backwards and forwards or flapping their hands in the middle of a supermarket is stimming. And basically stimming is short for self-stimulatory behavior, which is a way of regulating their own feelings and also being able to cope with situations that they find overwhelming or overstimulating. And it's a bit more extreme than what people are used to. Again, it kind of harpers back to that previous point about the way society expects people to behave and things. But the thing is, stimming is a normal thing. Basically, if you play with blue tack, or you fiddle with a pen, or you tap your foot, everyone out there, you all stim. We all stim. However, when it comes to autistic people, sometimes it can be a little bit more extreme, it can be a little bit more excessive, dependent on who the autistic person is, because we all stim to varying degrees in varying different areas. But by saying to an autistic person, look, can you stop stimming, that's basically you saying, I want to take away the thing that makes you cope in situations that are overly difficult for you. That is basically you saying that you don't want this autistic person to cope in their own way. How do you expect autistic people to cope without a coping strategy that they have come up for themselves that helps them in situations which, help them thrive? It just doesn't make any sense to me, and just suppressing stims is just not something I'm for at all. The only time, and this is the only time I think it's acceptable to stop someone, an autistic person, from stimming, is when it's self-injurious. So maybe they're hurting themselves by doing a stim repeatedly, such as they bite themselves, for example, things like that, you know, when it's actually dangerous to the person's health and well-being. But things like rocking ourselves or flapping our hands, I don't think that is a particular danger to ourselves as autistic people, or anyone else in society for that matter. It's just things that help us cope, and to take that away, I think, is actually more damaging in itself. And if you want to know the different types of stimming that are out there, there's a video linked down below or on the screen right now, so go and check it out after this video. The next thing not to say to autistic people ever, this is something you should never say, is autism can be cured. I mean, I saw someone on television the other day talking about how they cured their autism by doing holistic therapies. You know, it's not something that's lifelong, you know, it can go away on its own. This statement is so wrong, so backward, and for me it's quite a frustrating one to even talk about. Just because someone appears to be coping with situations, or they've done some therapies or something like that, and they appear a little bit more normal in terms of what society believes and thinks should be normal, doesn't mean that their autism, that part of them that makes them them, is cured or it's been reversed. Autism is a lifelong neurological condition. Yes, there are therapies that can help autistic people, but by making statements like this autistic person is cured, their autism has suddenly vanished, you know, bibbidi bobbidi boo, boo. Autism is not something that can be cured by holistic therapies. It's not something that can be cured by giving someone pills. It's not something that can be cured. And the thing is, yes, there are things that can help autistic people, but just because an autistic person seems to be managing things a lot better than they used to, or you meet an autistic person for the first time and you think, oh, they're doing quite well, you know, they're doing things that I would expect a normal person to do. You know, does that mean that autism is not a part of their lives? No, because autism, like I say, is a lifelong neurological condition. I think it's just better just saying, look, this autistic person has had some kind of therapy and they just seem to be coping better, you know, and we're there for them if they need help with anything. But by saying things like, oh, we've managed to reverse the autism, there's no autism there anymore because we've managed to do therapy, we've managed to do magical things with our magic wand and gone bibbidi bobbidi boo, and there's just nothing there anymore. Just have the understanding that autism is a lifelong condition, and yes, they might be fine now, but they might need help in the future. And I think that's the thing I can really say with any of these things I've talked about in this video. You know, it's just about being understanding and being there for autistic people, and just understanding that we are all different, and there are just some things that you should never say to autistic people because it's just hurtful or it just lacks understanding. And there are other things that people say that should never be said to autistic people, and if you want to find out more, check out that playlist up there. It's linked down below for you as well. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a big thumbs up for me and subscribe to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.